The Terminator is one of the most badass science fiction horror films of all time. It launched a franchise of 5 films with a 6th one on the way this year, November 1st. Yeah, we're gonna go see it. Anyways, so most fans would say that this franchise died after Terminator 2. Well, where did it all go wrong? Come with me if you want to travel back to 1984 with the release of The Terminator. With a movie this big, and of course a film with the legendary Arnold Schwarzenegger, I had to bring along a special guest. So before we dive deep into this film, I'm going to need some help. And that help is coming in the form of a very special friend of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Durant Cinema.
Du Uzi 9mm? Who are you? Are you Sarakana? What is going on, guys? I'm Dave from Durant Cinema. Matt, thank you, brother, for having me on here to be talking about Terminator, because obviously I love me some Terminator. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, so I am pumped, absolutely pumped out of my mind. I cannot wait.
Dave, nobody knows Arnold or is a bigger fan than you, my friend. So I gotta ask, before we dive deep into this movie, what was it that introduced you to the Terminator? And how old was you?
Man, that is an excellent question. What got me into Terminator in the first place was simply my family. Just all loved him. We loved his movies, his accent. He's a handsome guy. I am very thankful I was born in this household. Otherwise, it would just be very sad. And one day when I have kids, they're gonna love Arnold just as I did. And Terminator is a classic film that I just simply love. I remember collecting the toys, wearing the t-shirts as a little kid. Bring it back to you, Matt. Let's hear your review. Let's go, buddy.
Well, for me, I was 5 years old. I had watched Terminator 2 before I'd seen The Terminator. And I really resonated with that movie. I loved it so much. And then when I finally got to see the first Terminator, which was shortly after, I think I was like 6 years old, and I was devastated. I was in tears. I was crying. I was like, Mom, why is the Terminator trying to kill Sarah Connor? I don't understand. I thought they were friends. He was helping her. Why is he trying to kill her in this movie? I don't know. I'm so confused. You know, when you're a kid and you're that age, 6 years old, 5 years old, you're so conflicted on like what's going on. I don't understand these questions. I used to question how Arnold Schwarzenegger could die in a movie and then come back in the next. I never understood those things, but now I do. And of course now I love the first Terminator, and I really like how everything is just put into place, setting up the franchise that we all know and some love today. So quick plot synopsis before we get started. So most of the story is told through Kyle Reese, who is played wonderfully by Michael Biehn. Fantastic actor, one of the most underrated actors ever. This dude kills it as Kyle Reese, but also he's done really great performances in other movies, but this one really signified him, and I feel like he didn't get enough recognition as a career with this movie as he should have, I believe, and that's my opinion. I know Arnold deserves it, of course, obviously, but I feel like Michael Biehn is one of the greats, along with Linda Hamilton, who plays Sarah Connor. Flawless. She is amazing in this film as well, along with Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go back. So Kyle Reese is sent from the future by John Connor, his son, to protect his mother, Sarah Connor, who is eventually going to give birth to John, and in the future he's going to be a human resistance fighter fighting against Skynet, the organization that creates the Terminators to destroy the human race. Because the human race is fucked in the future completely, and there's barely any humans left, and only humans left are the resistance fighters, and Kyle Reese is one of those resistance fighters, and he is here to go toe-to-toe with the Terminator. This movie is terrifying at times. This is probably one of the best horror movies that nobody even really considers a horror movie. I'd say most people consider it a sci-fi movie. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like it's more horror than anything. Yeah, there's sci-fi elements here and there, but man, when you hear that, which that's me echoing the Terminator theme, but here it is for real. But every time you hear that, your heart's just beating because you know the Terminator's nearby. And there's a couple of scenes like that where you're just like, holy shit, this motherfucker's about to fuck somebody up. He's in there, in the darkness somewhere, waiting.
Two scenes that really impact for me this club scene, the Technor club scene. Holy cow! The most greatest scene, not in the franchise, but ever. The music in the club, you know, you got everyone's dancing, having a good time. You got me burning. All of a sudden it just goes boom, boom, boom. Finally spots her, and that scene gives me chills to the max. You got the greatest line, "Come with me if you want to live." It's just terrific. One of the greatest scenes, and obviously the Terminator's outfit is one of my favorites of all time. I love this. Second scene that really has a huge impact is the police station scene. That's supposed to be the most secure area of all. We all know that didn't happen. Brutality of the T-800, the machine. First, he's just like, "I'll be back." And then he just drives his way in. Doesn't give two shits. That's tearing up the whole entire place. Nothing's gonna stop him. And he took down all those police cops. No match whatsoever. So I thought that scene, once again, was pretty terrifying, intense, just well done. Absolutely amazing. The more I rewatch it, the more I love it, and I love it. To the point where Terminator 2 and 1 are tied as my second favorite movie of all time. Can't express how much I love the Terminator. I already have a boner right now just talking about it.
Arnold scared the fuck out of me in this movie. I kid you not. I was terrified when I seen this. Again, seeing Terminator 2 and then jumping into Terminator 1, I was, again, devastated. But now you look at it and Arnold did a hell of a job. I mean, he really did. He did enough with his facial expressions, man. Like, you bought into him as a fucking killing machine, and that's exactly what he does in this film.
Arnold is my favorite actor of all time, and he's in this movie. Probably one of my favorite villains of all time, too. He's terrifying, man. Holy shit. Not only just him as a human form running at you, but he's an endoskeleton. On top of that, his main goal is to kill you, and that's terrifying. Arnold Schwarzenegger coming at you with the gun isn't terrifying, then what the hell on this earth is? Matt, you were spot on. It has horror elements. He's more terrifying as the human form than the endoskeleton at the end.
He cannot be stopped. He can't be bargained with. He can't be reasoned with. He shows no pity, no fear, no remorse, and he will not stop ever until you are dead. Something along those lines. I could be butchering that a little bit, but that's basically what Kyle Reese tells Sarah Connor to convince her that this guy's real, because she doesn't believe it. Nobody believes it. Nobody believes that the Terminator is there to kill her. They just think he's a guy. But then there are other people out there that are like, holy shit, well, maybe he's not. Maybe he's right. But of course, he's trying to convince her of this, and she doesn't want to believe into that. But why would you? Do you really want to believe that this thing from the future, or he's from the future? How is this possible?
For Sarah Connor in this film, it must be a bittersweet thing. Just in your ordinary life, just going throughout your day. Next moment, you're running away on a wild goose chase, running from your life. This guy is after me, he wants to kill me, but yet you realize that your son is going to be the leader of the resistance against the machines. They need him to win this war, and that's your son. It is any proud mom's moment right there. I would be a very proud mom. Sarah Connor, congratulations.
How was the Terminator created? Where did he come from? Who thought him up? All those questions. So it all started during the release of Piranha 2. Yeah, you heard that right. James Cameron once directed a film, Piranha 2, The Spawning. Yeah, that was his big film before the Terminator launched his career. But anyway, he fell ill during the release of that film, and had a dream about a metallic torso dragging itself through an explosion with knives. Yeah, that's how it all started, with a dream. So James Cameron took his dream and was inspired by John Carpenter's Halloween and used that as a launching pad to create a horror-style film known today as The Terminator. The initial outline of the film was actually to have two Terminators sent to the past, one with a T-800 Arnold that we know and love today, and the other, the T-1000. Yeah, he was already going to use the T-1000 in the first film, but he felt like the technology wasn't ready and couldn't really create liquid metal the way that he wanted. So he saved that, and then we have Terminator 2 with the T-1000. Hell yeah. Let's get into the casting of this film. Believe it or not, Arnold Schwarzenegger was not considered for the Terminator at first. James Cameron wanted him to play Kyle Reese. Yeah, that's crazy. Could you imagine? How would that even work? I don't know. I don't think it would. I mean, granted, he could fill the role of a soldier, a badass soldier, sure. But at the same time, who the fuck are you going to get to play the Terminator? And that's what Cameron was kind of going back and forth with. Well, if I cast him as Kyle Reese, then I got to get somebody bigger to play Terminator. Who's that going to be? Well, they actually lined up Sylvester Stallone and Mel Gibson, but they both turned it down. At one point, they had O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson lined up to play Terminator. But Cameron felt like he wouldn't be very convincing as a killer. How funny is that? Just looking back on it now, after everything that's happened with O.J. Simpson and just now looking back on that decision, that's crazy. Couldn't you imagine O.J. Simpson as the Terminator? I mean, think about it for a second. Let that resonate. That's crazy. We could have had a totally different movie. Thank God we got Arnold, though. The casting of the film was ongoing. Cameron was still up in the air about who he should cast as the Terminator. So him and Schwarzenegger would go back and forth, and they would kind of bicker and just have like little conversations. And then Cameron was entertained by Arnold's impression on how the villain should be played. So Cameron just decided to sketch Arnold's face on a notepad. So after he made the drawing, he just decided, damn, Arnold would make a hell of a Terminator. We're not going to cast him as Kyle Reese.
To start off with James freaking Cameron, the GOAT. He's personally my favorite director of all time, hands down. And I loved how he did this film, because he did this guerrilla style, living off $1 Whoppers and coupons to make this movie. Dedication is what really does it for me, because there are certain scenes where, like, there's one shot, you gotta break the glass Arnold, and they're like, we have to do this quick before anyone says anything or whatever. So they took a lot of risk, and it paid off at the end. This movie was well ahead of its time. Even now to this day in this society with technology and how it advances, it's crazy to believe that we still think computers are going to take over. This was done a long ass time ago, so James Cameron is brilliant. I love the guy.
So at one point, Arnold Schwarzenegger was not excited about doing this movie when he was first filming it. When he was doing an interview for Conan the Destroyer, they asked him, what it is that he was doing. He's like, oh, just some shit movie that I'm in. So he figured that, with it being low scale, that if it didn't do well, it wouldn't really damage his career as he thought it would have. And in his book, Total Recall, he pretty much realized that after a long time that James Cameron was the real deal, and this film was much better than he ever anticipated. So, his mind changed, obviously, and he became a mega star that he is today, thanks to The Terminator. In preparation for the role, Arnold spent months training with weapons and how to use them and get comfortable with them. Arnold only speaks 18 lines in this film. That's crazy. But his accent actually works, and it kind of has like this robotic ring to it when he talks. And even James Cameron said that the accent just kind of works well with being the Terminator. And it's true, you can tell just the way that Arnold speaks in this movie, because at this point in his life and career, he was still kind of struggling with English words, and so he didn't feel comfortable saying some lines. Speaking of which, the famous line, the line that signified Arnold Schwarzenegger and redefined his career and legendary status, whatever.
I'll be back.
That one line, Arnold didn't want to say it. He didn't want to say "I'll be back" because he had trouble saying "I'll." So they kind of, toned down his speaking lines in the movie, and then took certain lines and made them work for him, and they had like this robotic ring to them.
Like that, this movie is just perfect, man. The acting, the directing, but the score and the soundtrack. I have the soundtrack. I play it in my car all the time. So eerie and vibey and tense and thrilling and very suspense. All those sense words.
Final thoughts on the Terminator. It's an absolute classic. There is no denying that whatsoever. It's one of the greatest movies to ever be made, put to screen. It's awesome. Everything about it is fantastic. The story, the acting, Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator was perfect casting, and it almost didn't happen. But thank the movie gods that it did. But it's great directing from James Cameron. It really signified him as a wonderful director, and he proved that even more with Terminator 2, and then of course his future films with True Lies and Avatar and stuff like that. We got a lot out of this movie from a lot of great talent. All the special effects team that put this movie together, that brought the Terminator to life. Stan Winston. Fantastic work, man. Seriously. So awesome. I mean, there's no more you can really say about this movie. It's one of the greats, and it's going to go down in movie history as so, and you cannot take that away from this movie whatsoever. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for this legendary classic film. But it's only the beginning. We still got the rest of the franchise to go, and me and Dave are in this till the end. Dave, thank you so much, man, for joining me with this. This was a lot of fun. I love this movie, and I cannot think of anybody else that I would rather have with me than you, because again, you're the biggest Arnold fan. I couldn't go without asking you. I wish I could have had you on my Predator Revisited, but at the time I wasn't for sure how I would deal with making this video happen. But now I feel more comfortable and I can do it. So again, thanks, man. I greatly appreciate it, and I cannot wait to dive into the rest of the franchise with you. I'm so excited about it.
I just want to say thank you so much, Matt, for having me on the first episode of Revisit of the Terminator series. Of course, we got 4 more to go, so I'll be back. Come on, stay tuned and subscribe. That's right, go to his channel, check it out, and hit subscribe right there. Come on, do it. But thank you, Matt, once again. Looking forward to Terminator 2.
Well, guys, that pretty much wraps it all up for the Terminator. But be sure to join Dave and I next time for Terminator 2 Judgment Day. We'll let you know when very soon. But as always, guys, please like and subscribe to both of our channels, Durant Cinema and Metatron 1000. And until next time, hasta la vista, baby.